Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you guys here on this Thursday, March the 30th, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad to have you guys here. Now, here's the thing, guys. Yesterday I did a show on my Delta Report, and it was about you're not going to be able to buy silver. And if you watched the show, you're wondering, how did I figure that out? Well, let's just go through it. It's easy. It's 1 plus 1 equals 2, and 2 plus 2 equals 4. It's as simple as that. So the first part of this is we all know that there's a silver shortage out there. Demand has been slowly increasing ever since the Wall Street thing, the Wall Street silver thing. And we know it's been putting a terrible, they're just chewing through silver. These online retailers are just chewing through silver like crazy, distributing it to people who are buying it a lot of them are buying it for the first time. And this is only increasing as the financial system goes down. They're not going to be able to, well, let me ask you guys, do you guys really think that they'll be able to continue to fill these coffers into the future of these online silver distributors if demand is increasing exponentially because of a failing system? Or do you think at some point in the not too distant future they're going to run out? Well, I think they're going to run out at some point. It's just a given. That's the first part. So they run out of silver, you know, to sell. And that's going to put a constraint on industry to obtain supply for making things like cell phones and everything else. Now, when that happens, that first part, they run out of silver. Is it going to get better? No. Demand's going to increase big time as the dollar starts to really fall out of bed. So it's not a situation that they can cure easily. It's going to be a situation, as long as these online retailers around the world are dispensing silver to the people, there's not enough silver to go around. If every damn person on earth wanted to have an ounce of silver, poof, it's all gone. Just 1 ounce to everybody on earth. They can't cover it. They can't even nearly cover it. But a lot of people, they're making up for everybody else. They're in there buying the silver, and they're buying quite sizable amounts of it. Not just 1 ounce. They just don't go in and buy 1 ounce. They're like, I'll take a monster box, please. This is the way people are nowadays. We got an affluent society who sees their banking system going down, and they're going to be going in and wanting the monster box. So we get the silver shortage. And there's nothing they can do about it. It gets worse and worse because everybody's demanding it, wanting to buy it. Well, what's going to happen soon into the silver shortage, maybe a couple months into the silver shortage, these companies that make things like iPhones need silver. Companies that make solar panels, the new green initiative, even these companies like these big companies that make bombs and things like that are going to need their silver. And what are they going to do? Are they just going to sit on their hands? No, they're going to lobby the government. Do something. The government's going to say, well, gee, what's causing this problem? Oh, I know what's causing this problem, the government's going to say. It's all these silver retailers out there who are just dispensing it to the people. Well, we'll cut that off pretty quick. We'll just say, okay, now you got to have a license to buy silver. Okay, so now you see the how it's going to basically play out. And now that I explained it to you guys, you can see I'm probably right. They're going to probably put something in to make it so not that you can't sell it, but you're just not going to be able to buy it unless you got a license. Okay, moving on today. The train derailed, carrying ethanol this time. And it burst into flames. So I guess another one full of black smoke going into the air. This seems like it's getting to be on a daily basis now. Things, they're just, I don't know. What's up with all this? What's up with 9 soldiers being killed in Kentucky as 2 Black Hawk helicopters crash into one another? Bang. More black smoke. I mean, the frequency of this stuff is happening so, like, boom, 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 boom. What in the heck's going on? We got to sit back and start to take wonder of what's going on. And I don't think we're getting any official explanations as to what's going on, but something's going on. There's just too much smoke for there not to be fire. You know? Well, we got silver prices today. They're on their way up a little bit, guys. We're up 21 cents so far. 23.54 today on silver. Now, here's how, listen guys, here's how I would play it out if it was me doing it. If I was a Federal Reserve, you know what I would do? Is I would continue to raise interest rates in hopes that more banks would fail. Because I want to bring out my new FedNow system in July. So what I would do is, my hopes would be that big money would move into the FedNow system and leave the banking system behind and hold an account with the Fed and keep their money with the Fed in the new FedNow to push this, to make it work. So how do you do that? Well, first you drive them all out of the smaller banks with fear that the smaller banks are going to go down, and you drive them into the 6 big American banks. You know, J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, etc., etc. You drive them there, and they all pull their money out, big money that's over the $250,000 Federal Deposit Insurance Commission's money that goes over that. So they run for safety. What then? And when you get them all in those banks, then because you're raising interest rates even higher, those banks start to get in trouble. Well, then the people get scared, and you want to time that around July. So that they're really getting scared in the big banks even, and come July, right? And then they start to move their money again because they want safety. So they're going to move it to the only safe place left, the Fed. Well, how can people that have their money in places like Bank of America, say July, Bank of America is getting in trouble, or J.P. Morgan Bank, or whatever, and people are really scared. How can they get an account with the Fed? Well, the Fed's making this possible now. So you can have an account with the Fed just like the big boys. Even if you're just got, say, just over the limit of $250,000. Say you got $350,000. Well, now you can have an account with the Fed come July. And that's what they want. They want you to move it all in. So what is that going to do to these big 6 banks? If everybody has big deposits on hand, starts to move it then into the Fed now, well, the big banks are going to get in trouble pretty quick too, and that'll make more money move out the only place left to move it. It's like herding cattle, you know. First you herd a whole bunch of cattle into one big pen. You got them there, but your idea is to move them into the second pen and then move them into the final place where they're going to go down the chute into the final place. Into the slaughterhouse. The cattle. Anyway. FedNow. The launch of the new central bank digital currency. How are they going to get people to use it? When they open up FedNow? Herd them in. That's what I would do if I was the Fed. Now, I'm just saying what I would do. I don't know what they're going to do. But, I mean, if I had the plan to herd people in, that's how I would do it. Get their money out of the regular banking system and get it moving. Get the money moving. First start with the small banks. And then get them to move it into the bigger banks, and then bring the fear to the bigger banks, and then they'll really be panicking trying to move their money around. But not only that, getting them to move it from the smaller to the bigger banks is already getting the money on the move. That's getting it started. It's like giving them a push. And then they get used, not only giving them a push, they get used to moving their money around then. And then it's not a big deal then for them to move their money from the bigger banks into the FedNow system. Just makes sense to me. And I mean, I don't know if that's what's going on. Who knows? They got so many plans up their sleeve. Who knows what they're going to hit us with next? What's the next shoe to drop? Anyway, look, guys, gold today. Gold is up $6.30 at $1,970.90. Now taking a look at cryptos. Where's my crypto chart? Let's forget crypto today. Heck with it. Didn't put the chart up there. I ain't going to worry about it, but I know crypto's been doing good lately. But you got to understand something. There's something very important to understand about. Gold and silver are your fundamental if you have it in physical form. It exists in the real world. Bitcoin is a bit of flopsome that only exists in the ether. That's all it is. Right? And I know it's never had it happen to it, but there's things that can happen to Bitcoin. One's called a 51% attack. If some entity out there gets enough computer power to make 51% of the Bitcoin network, Bitcoin will just blow up. The whole thing will just blow up. Well, you say the network's really big. There's thousands of miners out there, and they're producing an awful lot of security for the network. How would a 51% attack ever work? What entity could produce that much computing power? Believe me, they probably can anytime they want. What entity? The guys who's got the quantum computers. That's who. Anyway, guys, didn't want to scare you or anything. But a lot of people don't know about that. They don't know what a 51% attack is. And Bitcoin is susceptible to that. Now, a lot of the newer cryptocurrencies are not susceptible. But Bitcoin is the head of the snake. And what happens if you hit the head of the snake with a hammer? It basically causes tremendous chaos. And I'm not saying that'll happen, but I'm just saying that be aware that does exist. It's for real. S&P 500. 4055. 4,055 today. It's up 27 points. The Dow Jones is up to 134 points at 32,849. Now, listen, never forget, guys, some of the best performing stock markets of the world are stock markets that are performing under a hyperinflation. So, in that kind of a scenario, you know, see the S&P shoot up past 5,000, see the Dow go up past 40,000. When we're in an actual hyperinflation. But that doesn't mean you're getting rich. That means that the stock markets are dollar denominated at that point, and the dollar is going down the toilet, becoming worth less and less and less. You know? Anyway, enough talk about that. You're probably saying, well, should I invest in the stock market then? If equities are going to perform that well during a hyperinflation, the answer is gold and silver will perform better. Cryptocurrencies could very well perform better. That's if they survive. Let's see, Bitcoin, I'm going to tell you guys the way it is with Bitcoin. I'm going to go in the nitty-gritty on it here for you. Bitcoin's all or nothing. Bitcoin's either going to successfully complete its mission, in which case you won't need to have very much because it'll be worth a lot of money. You only have to have a tiny little fraction. And having a lot would just get you in a lot of trouble anyway. If Bitcoin is successful. You only need a little tiny bit. But if Bitcoin is not successful, it's going to be worth nothing. It's all or nothing with the stuff. So you're making a bet on an all or nothing proposition. It's either going to win or lose. One of the two. Now, with precious metals ultimately in the end is going to win. That's just the way it is. We got a debt-based system, and the debt-based system is in a slow collapse now, and it's almost 100%. It's like 99.999999999% chance that precious metals are going to win. It's really on your favor, but it's a question of timing. How long is this going to take with precious metals? They could drag this thing out for a while yet, you know. But ultimately, if you're thinking long term, if you're thinking holding precious metals for 20 years for your grandkids or whatever, it's going to win. It's almost a sure bet. Crypto, it's almost like a 50-50 sort of proposition. But if it does win, you're not going to need very much Bitcoin to become rich if Bitcoin wins. Anyway, I think you guys got it. Taking a look now at the U.S. bonds, we're seeing falling yields on the long end. U.S. 10-year is at 3.56, and it's down 2 basis points. And the U.S. 30-year is down 2 basis points as well, and it's at 3.75. No, the U.S. 10-year is not down 2 basis points, down 0.2 of a basis. 0.2. It's the 30-year that's down 2.5 basis points, the 30-year. The dollar index today, we're looking at dropping dollar index, 102.13, and she's dropping today, definitely dropping. Thank you guys for listening to my show, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. And have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.